9 elite hikers. 1/tent. Calm footprints into -30. Crushed ribs, almost no wounds. In the next 10 minutes, we test every theory against the case files, and we try the only simulation that can break bones without breaking skin. If even one detail doesn't fit, we drop the theory and I'll pin the timestamp. Lock your answer now. Avalanche, military test, UFO, or something else. Let's see if the evidence changes your mind. The search team crests the ridge and freezes. A torn tent lies half buried in snow. 8 or 9 sets of prints walk away in single file. Bare feet, socks, 1 boot, then nothing. It is February 1959 in the Ural Mountains. 9 experienced hikers vanish into a night that hits -30. Days later, their bodies are found across the slope and the forest below. 2 by a cedar tree, 3 in the open, as if crawling uphill, 4 in a shallow ravine under snow and ice. Receipts, not rumors. According to the original case files, cuts in the tent were made from the inside. Photos show an orderly line of footprints, no chase pattern. The cedar had broken branches several meters high. Someone climbed fast. Autopsies report massive internal trauma in the ravine group, crushed ribs, a fractured skull, yet little external bleeding. Some soft tissue was missing. That can happen after death in running water under ice. A few clothes showed slightly elevated radiation, not high enough to cause symptoms. In 60 seconds, we'll test the only model that recreates those injuries without a human attacker. First, anchor the last normal hour. Igor Dyatlov's team logs a cheerful diary entry. They joke, sing, take photos. They pitch a tent on the lee side of a ridge called Kolat Sayako, Mountain of the Dead. To level the spot, they cut a platform into wind-loaded snow and anchor the tent with skis. The wind builds, the fabric thrums. Night swallows the ridge. Then the mountain shifts. The tent deforms. Weight presses at chest height. They slash the side and step out. Tracks show no panic. Trained hikers evacuate in order and head for the trees to wait out the storm. If you like evidence, first mystery, subscribe. I'll pin any correction with sources. Avalanche. People hate this word here. The slope isn't steep enough, critics say. No typical debris. That assumes a roaring slide. What if it's small, dense, and delayed? Secret weapons tests. Parachute mines. Lights in the sky. It explains rumors and internal injuries. But there are no craters, no blast burns, no shrapnel in the files. Infrasound. Wind over the ridge can create low-frequency waves that induce anxiety. Interesting, but anxiety doesn't crush ribs in a ravine. Attack by the local Mansi? Cleared by investigators. No signs of a fight. Footprints don't show a chase. Katabatic winds. Supercooled air racing downhill can rip tents and pin people. Possible trigger, not a mechanism for blunt force trauma. So what fits every receipt? In 2021, researchers Johann Gaum and Alexander Bergeron modeled the exact snow mechanics on this slope, using real wind data and a modern avalanche codebase. Their peer-reviewed work shows how a delayed slab can form when you cut a platform. Hours of wind loads stack dense snow above a weak layer. Then a small slab releases and slides just a few meters. It hits a tent at chest height with the force of a car crash. That explains the internal injuries with minimal external wounds. That explains why the tent was cut from inside seconds matter when your roof is crushing you. That explains the calm footprints and orderly evacuation to the tree line, planning to return at first light. Down at the cedar, 2 bodies lie near a small fire. Branches snap high suggest at least 2 of them climbed to break wood or to spot the tent. Hypothermia takes the weakest first. Others remove their clothes to survive standard behavior, not a curse. 3 collapse on the slope while trying to return to the tent. 4 move toward a ravine for better shelter and fall through a thin crust into a stream bed. Snow and ice load down. Bodies are pinned. Ribs and skulls fail under pressure. Later, the group is found under meters of snow. In 45 seconds, we'll address the radiation and the missing tongue. Before that, the biggest pushback to the slab model. Where's the avalanche path? On a modest incline, a small slab can leave subtle signs that vanish fast under new snowfall and wind drift, especially over a cut platform. Investigators reach the site weeks later. The tent's position matches a terrain trap. The 2021 study cross-checked injury thresholds with crash test data. The numbers line up. Radiation next. 2 items of clothing were slightly hot. Thorium from lantern mantles was common then. Contamination from university labs is also plausible. Levels were too low to cause symptoms. Radiation is not a mechanism for a midnight evacuation. The missing tongue and eyes? The ravine had running water under snow. Post-mortem soft tissue loss in cold streams is common. It's grim. It's not paranormal. What about the lights in the sky? Witnesses across the region reported orange orbs that winter. Some photos from the group show streaks. Parachute mines? Meteors? The military did test in the Urals, but there's no direct link to the campsite. Lights on the horizon don't crush ribs in a ravine. They do add fuel to a legend. Now the human factor most people skip. Decision-making in deep cold degrades fast. You're exhausted. The tent starts to deform. You feel pressure on your chest. You cut free. You aim for the trees. You plan to come back. But -30 erases time. Fingers stop working. Vision blurs. A plan that survives on paper dies on that slope. Here's the story that fits the receipts. Problem: a skilled team camps on a wind-loaded cut platform in a storm. Mechanism: a delayed slab collapses onto the tent, forcing a quick, orderly evacuation. Impact: hypothermia kills by the cedar. A hidden drop into a stream bed crushes the rest under snow load. Open question: if the physics solve it, why won't the myth die? Because the myth isn't about aliens or Soviets. It's about how thin the line is between ordinary and fatal. The diaries show laughter, songs, dinner. Hours later, a chain of tiny choices meets a rare, precise failure in the snowpack. That gap, the silence between joy and catastrophe, is the real horror of Dyatlov Pass. Did science finally solve it? The best evidence says yes. A small, delayed slab avalanche, a brutal night, and human endurance pushed past its limit. But legends don't bow to equations. They wait for doubt. Lock your answer now. Did the evidence change your mind? Subscribe Sensei Mystery and comment your theory with a timestamp. If you can break a detail, I'll pin your proof. Watch next: the man who time traveled in 1935.